I don't know if you can see. Can you see all those? Oh no, I don't think you can. I have a stack. Oh yeah, you can, right here. A stack of my Felicity Jane boxes that come, and I get them and I love them and I open them up and I go through them, and then I set them aside, the contents, because I get so busy. So I'm super excited to try to weekly get into my note to self and work on my journaling. But today I wanted to just dig in and do a little, I like to call it what did I say? Creative. A lot of people say scrap therapy, but it is my therapy. But I was trying to say it's like I don't just journal and I don't just scrap, and I do them all together. So it is a creative kind of mode. And so I kind of like to call it creativity, create therapy, Create-apy. I think that's what it was. Create-apy. Create-apy is what creativity, but therapy, create-apy. It's my create-apy. Create-apy, that's my word, create-apy. I think that's going to be my word for now. So I did some create-apy today, and it was much needed. And so sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy a little create-apy today. Let's go right over here to the Create-apy table. All right, so the picture I'm using there is one I took this last week, and you can see I haven't really filled in my weekly for this past week, but today is May 1st. It's May Day, and I have been in and out of my garden. And this Note to Self notebook has been so fun because I usually keep track of just details of the week, and then in between each week, I have this little layout. And I like to usually just do my Create-apy in the center and just layer things, paint, do whatever. But today I'm using my Julia kit from Felicity Jane, and I'm really excited to use it because I love the colors. And I thought the pages I just chose, I end up using just the floral pattern, but the floral one kind of matches those same colors that are in my photo, the shadow photo, which I thought was a really cool picture that turned out really cute. And so I'm just here measuring the width of my page, which I should have memorized, but I simply don't. And I just use my Fiskars paper cutter and go ahead, and I'm measuring. I'm sort of just eyeballing it, which is, I'm an eyeballer. And so I go ahead and grab my 6-hole punch here in just a second to put holes into that floral pattern, because it's wider obviously than the holes are. And that's just what I chose to do with this one. Love this little 6-hole punch. It just comes in handy for this particular notebook for sure, and also for my 6x8 scrapbooking books that I have. So love that floral paper, and decide that I am definitely going to watercolor. I pull out my multimedia. I think this is it's just a multimedia watercolor acrylic. It's a media paper that's great for all different mediums. And I'm using my Daniel Smith new palette. It's fairly new, and I am a fan of Daniel Smith. I'm a fan of watercolors, and I've collected some different ones, some handmade watercolors, and also the Daniel Smith. And this palette is one with a whole bunch of great colors, and I also have tubes of them, and I'm using New Began Beige, which came in a set that I bought a while back, and it's one of my favorite happy colors. And this also is, I want to say this red is quinacridone rose or permanent Alzarian crimson. I kind of forgot which one I used, and so I apologize, but it is definitely I have a lot of choices in this palette. This particular green is one of my favorites. It's a sap green, and so just adding that, and that matches that floral paper just lovely. And I'm using one of my favorite techniques taught to me by the famous, amazing Ali Brown Creative, who's one of my all-time favorite artists. And she's a journaler. I love her classes. You should check her out. She's taught me so much, and I just adore her. Here I just cut a piece of regular cardstock paper that I want to use as a tip-in, and I'm going to be adding some stamping to that in a second. So just sort of deciding that little tip-in's going to go over that edge that I didn't really cover. Using some washi, and I love just doing tip-ins are really fun, adds a little bit of dimension, and I try not to use too many things that are too thick because this little binder over time throughout the year, it's my guess that I'm not going to make it through the whole year with not just bulging the whole thing open, but I do like tip-ins. I think it's a skinny way to make some dimension without having lots of dimension. Framing. Messy framing is one of my favorite. I'm taking my little gold pen, gel pen, and I love to set a foundation for any kind of art with just a messy frame. And this gold pen is one of my favorites to use for that. And taking my, what is that pen called? I love this pen. It's like a, let me look real quick. Oh, for goodness sake. I can't reach it. Yes, it's a carbon pen, like a carbon platinum pen, and I just love it because water doesn't really affect it. The ink in it is a, what is it, a carbon base, actually, a carbon ink pen. So I pull out the Julia set, the Julia stamp set, and I am using a stamp that says, what does that say? My happy place, which I wanted to, it sort of develops into, first of all, the garden picture in my yard, but then you'll see that I really elaborate and connect my home as my happy place, my workplace, my creative place, the place where I love to do my Create-apy. And I love this little set. I love this little stamp I'm using. It has, it's a perfect size. It's not too big, so it gives a great crisp look, but it's you can, pop this on any paper and make your own little card, your own little tip-in, but it has a details, a place to write your details, and then a little date. So I stick that right to the side, and I end up doing some journaling there, just some short journaling on my picture, and I'm loving how that's turned out. If you guys hear the big booms in the background, I apologize. If you've watched my videos before, you know I live near a shooting range, and on Saturdays everybody's there, so got a lot of shooting going on. But sometimes it can be heard just faintly, so that's what that is if you're wondering. I'm using this lovely floral stamp and doing a little second generation stamping there with just my archival ink, and love how it pops out on this background that I watercolored. And now I'm going to pull out what also comes in my kit is some die cuts. Really love these colors, you guys. Yep, so I'm going to pull out some of these and decide that so many to choose from. I do end up using that cute little bouquet, this little fly made of butter, and I love this little border stamp, but oh man, now I wish I would have used that. I did not though. Not this time. So each one of Felicity Jane's kits are highlight a specific young lady, and this one is Julia, of course. And so each one comes with a die cut sketch of the character or the inspired character for the kits, Julia. And I haven't used her. I'm actually saving all of my little Felicity Jane people because I want to do a very cool like spread with all of them. I've been collecting Felicity Jane for over a year, and so I have quite the collection, and I just love it. I can't stop saying that. I do. I love Felicity Jane with all my very being. So this picture, I'm noticing I love how the picture colors, I'm pretty happy with the watercolor pieces and how that sort of just enhances the colors almost perfectly. Using some double-sided tape just to adhere that to the media paper. And then I really love this little sentiment that came in the die cuts. It says work in progress, which is definitely my mojo these days. I add a little string, a little twine to that, which I keep handy and use a lot. And I'm going to pull my little mini stapler out here to adhere that. I love this tool. Quick and easy. Here is some washi, some of my favorite Fig Leaf washi from Ali Brown Creative. I don't think she carries it anymore in her shop, but she is a wonderful artist, and I love to snag things from her store, her Etsy shop, whenever I can. And then the other washi I used with the hearts on it is from Felicity Jane. And I'm just enjoying putting this on that side is sort of my focal point. I really want to use that floral piece, but I set that aside for just a second and get busy on this side. And my tip-in, I still haven't adhered this because I'm still thinking, do I want to do that? And then I end up definitely adhering it, but let's see what I do here. Yep, here I adhere it. I remember I was debating whether or not I might trim that. But then I decided I liked the way it bumped up against the side and how the other piece sort of, the details tip in, sort of hangs over. I mean, you can't go wrong with that dot background, and I like to let that show because that's just part of my weekly layouts. Sometimes I cover it all the way. So these are the Julia letters that came, and the sherbet color is so sweet. And I decide my word title is shadow. It's actually going to be my shadow to obviously describe the picture that I have. And I started out with my S, and then I thought to myself, I don't want to run out of room, so I make it sort of a bumpy, I go for a bumpy look, and I actually really think it's cute. I have learned in my many years, I love periods at the end of my little words as well, that I can't be perfect. I struggle with perfection. I've always been a perfectionist, and it keeps me from doing things. I procrastinate and then don't do it. And so I have learned to bust through that wall that keeps me from doing things that I love because I'm worried I'm not going to do it well. And then it gives me the freedom to just really just explore and do whatever I need to do. Those shadow letters don't need to be in a straight line, and some people might want them in a straight line, and some people might not. And it really just comes down to whatever you're feeling. I think it's important to embrace that. So that's why those are crooked letters, and I really love it. These are more die cuts that I pulled out. Little floral pieces are so cute. And you're going to see me cover up mistakes. When I want to be perfect, I obviously, I'm afraid of making mistakes. And guess what? I make them all the time. And I end up making one there that you'll see where the date is. I'll show you that in a second. We'll come back to that. So gonna go ahead. I'm just going back and forth. Sometimes people like to just do one side, but I sort of just like to bounce around. I'm a bouncy girl, going back and forth. And so I go ahead and just lay that on there and trying to stay in frame. There we go. I'm using my Canon M50 and I absolutely love my little camera, but I'm definitely a rookie at using it. And so I was using a different setting that I probably should have not been using. And so yeah, part of the learning is experimenting. So thank you for your flexibility and patience. And we're going to go back and forth, up and down. So yeah, I want to go ahead in and watercolor this die cut, which is a little butterfly. And it's a glossy finish, so I will say that the watercolor does not adhere. It's not going to. It's not a porous surface. So at first I'm really liking, I like the colors. But then you'll see it does add color, and it slurps up some of it, but it doesn't take the vibrance of the color. So I'm going to be okay with that. But I just wanted some pop. I should have actually pulled out maybe my colored pencils or some other medium. Like, I love that. I wish I could just dry it just like that, but that's not going to happen. The water on it's just pooling, so I think I take my heat gun to it to see if I can get it to dry a little bit and heat set it. And yeah, not gonna happen. So I sort of just wish and wash it on there, and then where'd you go? There we are. Oh, I know what. It was burning my fingers with my heat tool. So I grabbed my favorite tool of all time, my little tweezers, and you can see that this is futile. Futile does not mean forever lost, though. So I dab it, and actually there's some color left. So need a little focus there. It does add a little color, very muted, and I'm gonna go with it. Oh, these are, I don't remember the name of them. They're little, Allie Brown calls them, she calls the gold, I think it's the second to the left, her pot of gold. But I ended up getting this little set after her referral of these, and I love all the colors, but they are definitely little pots of watercolor goodness. And it adds a little shimmer too. Let me try to show you, but my focus is out, so super sorry. And where I'm going to put this, I don't know. I end up putting it on this side in the upper left-hand corner after some flitting and fluttering around. That's what makes Create-apy so fun, is that you don't really get to, you can just figure out what you want to do by exploring. If you don't like it, you can move it. And I'm using one of those cool techniques where you cut the florals in half and then you put half up, half down, half to the side, and add a little detail to those sides. So I used to print that picture, I used a Polaroid kind of program or application on my phone, and gives some really great frames, and it's easy to use. I like the way I moved out there. Yeah, I was sort of still deciding, is this gonna look good? I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna place that butterfly right up there. Now, I would like to use dimensional tape on that, but again, trying to keep things flat Stanley here. And so this little flower, I am thinking, oh, I want to use it. But I set it aside because guess what? Oh, wait. That's another flower I use. I guess I do use this one. Where do I put this one? Very nice. I put it in the corner. I do end up using 3. Pulling my carbon pen out again and going to handwrite for my shadow. And then, let's see, I get ready to put the date stamp on, and here's where I make a big, giant, ugly, icky mistake. I was like, boom, 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 and you can't even tell, but I just messed that up. But I actually really love when it's all globbered up like that. But then I noticed that I got the flower petal, so I decided let's just layer up there and make it really sweet. So I take some of my glue and take care of that little boo-boo. Love, 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 love. So I'm really liking the way it's turning out. I do think I get ready here to do some, so I'm asking myself what I'm going to put in my tip in. So when I say tip in, that means that little, I'm printing a picture to put underneath that little door. And let's be honest, I made a mistake. I actually wanted to have a square photo, but I didn't choose the right setting. And instead of wasting the picture, I decided I was going to make the best of it, and I trim off the top and I go ahead and I'm going to place that. That fits just perfect. I mean, honestly, I couldn't even believe it fit that perfect right there in that little setting. And I liked the way home showed underneath. And I mean, anyway, I was loving the vibe that I was getting. And so I do like to decorate the other side of the tip-in, and I believe well, good golly, where am I at? What you doing there, Gina? Pulling that, oh yeah, I think, okay, let's put some more alley thick washi there, add a little bit of color, bring out that green grass. And again, I've used quite a few of all of the elements in the kit of Julia. I've used those, definitely using my die cuts, little stapler, and there's my little tab. And I'm glad I did that because now I can go in and cover up those back staples with some of the back side of the floral paper. All right, so I will go ahead and I take my scrap of paper. What I absolutely love about Felicity Jane papers is there's always one side that's more of a neutral and the other side is more of a decorative floral or design, and so it makes for amazing coordination. And the other great thing is all of the kits in Felicity Jane, the paper always complements one month to the other to last years. Like, I don't know how that happens, but it does. So I've taken this just little square and putting it on the back of my tip-in, and right now I'm thinking about what I want to put on the back of there. So I take these little chipboard stickers. I'm so proud of myself for using all the elements of my Julia kit. I'm just pulling them out and just saying, what do I want to use? But before I do that, I pull out this Dylusions acrylic paint. I love the texture of the Dylusions paint. This is like a vanilla custard, I think is what it is. And I wanted to pull that yellow out of the pattern paper. And I'm a little worried and nervous about the paint after drying it. I was kind of curious. I wasn't sure if it was going to get onto my picture when I closed it. So you're going to see me cut a piece of vellum. And unfortunately my battery went out and I wasn't able to show you the technique that I used, but I went ahead and cut the vellum, and a little later, too late, I decided, or I realized that my battery had gone out. So anyway, there's a technique I used. I just tore around the edges of the vellum after cutting it and then layered that on top, and that should keep the paint from, I just wasn't sure if it would go on to my picture. And so there's a little boundary there that will keep it safe. And so I'm using my number stencil that I love and a technique from my favorite Ali Brown Creative, where just it's a messy trace, like you're just tracing it out and you just have a loose hand, and I just love it. She is so right. She's like, she loves this and thinks that, she told me it looks good in one of her videos, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try. Instead of trying to be so perfect to get the lines in a stencil perfect, this is the way to go, my friends. And so creds to Ali Brown, always. So I want this to say number 1. And then out of those little chipboards, I loved the one that said workplace. So that's going to go there in a second. But I pull out the 2x3 journal cards. And this one is the circle print or the little dot print. And I take my 1.25 inch circle punch, and I'm gonna just give that little chipboard a frame of color. So this makes me super happy. Using my little tweezers to stick that chipboard, and again, this chipboard's a little dimensional. Remember, I don't really want to have a lot of thickness, but chipboard, you win because you're so cute. All right, so I stick that down, and now I'm going to just really work on what I'm going to say in my journaling. So just having learned that words are the most important part, I've always been passionate about them. Miss Ali has taught me in her amazing creative classes that the words are what you need to get out on the page. And while today's were really simple, going with my details, I love what they say. What's closest to me, like my shadow, is my favorite workplace, my home, my garden, my family. It's where I want and would rather be, want to and would rather be. Yeah, so I'm going to finish up this little layout with some vanilla custard. I'm going to pull out some more of that yellow. I felt like I wanted to just pull in some of the, I don't know, just sort of layer up and give some accent to this pattern paper. And I like the way that turns out. I also want to, I don't know, just sort of add a little more details. I always find that there's so many, I try to keep these very simple, but I look back and I think, oh, I should have done that, or I should have framed the whole, thing. I did a messy frame around, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. But then, in reality, I just, again, want this to be an escape to pull in the things that I love. So I'm happy. I'm happy with what I have created. I do one more thing where I add some accents with my gel pens. I have a white gel pen, and I think I pull my golden gel pen out, and I just make some tick marks around just to add a little bit of finishing, polishing touches to and around the spread. I think I add some to those little hearts here in just a second, as well as over into the paint that we did, just to layer on top. Layering is definitely a great way. No matter how delicate it is, it makes a difference. Yeah, so I really like it. I think I add a little gold to that butterfly with my gold gel pen. And the hearts, do I do those? I think I do those right now. Add a little shine to the corner of the hearts. So thank you for joining me for my my spread today. I'm going to go ahead and put this back into my Felicity Jane Note to Self binder, and hoping to stay up on this a little more. I haven't filled in my weeks, as I stated earlier, but it feels good to have a piece of creativity done. Creatology, what did I say? Creative. Now I forgot my word. Oh my goodness. What? Create-apy. Oh my goodness. It looks like I need to do some more. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you later in the next video. Bye.